MLS All-Star Wednesday, everybody. It's Jim, it's Amadeus, and we're on the eve of the All-Star game, which is coming up here in the DC area tonight. We are almost ready. Take your, get a nap this afternoon because Women's World Cup starts early in the morning tomorrow, 3 a.m., if you like. And Amadeus, we got soccer coming out our ears here for we have had nothing much, and now we're getting a bunch.
Yeah, it's crazy. We got the MLS All Star Game tonight. Obviously, down in South America, we still got the Copa Sudamericana qualifiers for the round of 16 finishing
Hmm.
up today and tomorrow. Plus, as you mentioned, the Women's World Cup kicks off tomorrow, which is really tonight at 3 a.m. So get your afternoon naps in because you'll have to be waking up early for that one. And then guess
Right.
what? You're not going to sleep after because there's another one right at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Mhm.
Australia, the two host nations kicking it off in the Women's World Cup.
Yeah, and then Friday, of course, we have the dueling matches where Lionel Messi will take to the pitch in Fort Lauderdale um, to a epic television event. Um, Actually, my understanding is that they're going to cover. They're coming on. I think I'll check this for tomorrow. I think they're coming on at like 6 p.m. Or maybe even a little earlier, doing pretty much everything. All Messi all the time. Get ready to see that a lot. So yeah, they're going to be doing a lot of pregame tomorrow, and then of course at 9 p.m. on Fox it will be the U.S. team opening with their opening game uh, against Iran, I think. Yeah, Iran on Friday night. So there's soccer early in the morning on Friday and soccer late at night on Friday, and then of course the tournament begins. And so we'll have a lot of soccer all of the next couple of weeks, all the way through August.
Yeah, definitely. And I really think these first matches of the group stage are going to be very important
Hmm.
because like I've touched on before, the women don't play as many competitions as the men.
Right.
So if you look, a lot of their recent matches over the last year have been in friendlies.
Hmm.
And I don't personally treat the women's friendlies the same way as I treat the men's friendlies because the women tend to put out some starters, right? And a lot of these teams had friendlies scheduled within the last few weeks and up to the last 3 months because they've been trying to get ready for this competition. So I think these first matches are going to be huge for these teams because what's going to happen is you have these teams coming in. Some have been playing friendlies and getting in the groove. Others have not, like this New Zealand Norway match that kicks us off tonight at 3 a.m. Norway hasn't played a match since April. Not a
Wow.
friendly, not a single thing. And now they're just rolling into this, new time zone. You got to get adjusted to it. So if you're New Zealand and you're the host nation, you got to be thinking this is your chance. Norway's the strongest team in the group. If you can steal a point from them in this, it makes the
Hmm.
group that much more interesting because you don't have to see them again. And now
Right.
you're facing the two weaker teams in the group. So I think, and that applies, it's not just to Norway, New Zealand. I think it applies to all of these teams,
Hmm.
especially the ones that are favored to win the group. They're really going to have to come out in these first games if they want to take control of the group because this is the spot I think just playing your first match in the country, getting accustomed to the time zone still, especially some of these teams that haven't played too many. A lot, some of them have been playing a lot of friendlies, but others
Hmm.
haven't been playing a lot of friendlies. And yeah, absolutely, I think these first matches are really where teams are gonna the weaker teams are going to be able to maybe take advantage of some of these stronger teams.
Well, and the other thing that we really don't talk about a lot, you're talking about the friendlies, and that is that because of the lack of quality, I should this is gonna be very couched as closely as I can. Quality of the leagues that some of these women play in, it's these national games that really give them, the platform that they need to continue on, both from a financial standpoint as well as an endorsement standpoint. So these are, you're not going to see stars, sitting on the bench. You're going to see everybody play.
Yeah, definitely. And we saw it in the Men's World Cup back in December, how a lot of players, were having breakout World Cups and
Hmm.
putting themselves on the map, and then they were getting signed by these bigger clubs.
Sure.
So not the biggest clubs in Europe, right? But they were definitely getting upgraded from where they were playing at. So absolutely, the same goes for the women here. If there's a woman that has a outbreak World Cup here and plays fantastic in every
Mhm.
match, and let's say she's not playing on one of the best teams in Europe, well, you're definitely going to be getting that pay upgrade because you're going to have one of the big players in England or Spain or one of these bigger leagues probably come looking at you.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. So, and I think that I know that from what I've read and what I've seen, um, both Australia and New Zealand are, and we're talking about the crowds now. There's going to be packed houses at all these games. I mean, there's not a ticket to be had anywhere, which is great. You get the opening night for the Australians, which will be 5 a.m. I think, um, tomorrow morning, um, and that game, is going to be played in front of 82,000 people in Melbourne. So, good on them.
At the
It's
Fun Stadium.
I'm sorry,
At the Fun Stadium.
at the one we like. Yes, that's the
Yeah,
stadium
yeah.
we like. Let's be clever on that one too.
It was great because you protected the fans from the rain. I don't know who
Yeah,
thought of that design, but that was fantastic design. Actually, I don't know
yeah.
why more stadiums don't do stuff
It
like
looked
that.
cool from the outside too.
Yeah, 100%. Like it had that aesthetic design, and it
Hmm.
also had a great purpose because you're keeping the
Yeah,
fans. I've watched Toronto FC in the pouring rain before. It's not a fun time. It's definitely not a fun time. So good on them.
yeah. I mean, back in the day, as the old saying goes, um, you know, watching a Tampa Bay Rowdies NASL game in a driving rainstorm at the old Tampa Stadium, um, 50,000 people there, and you could surf down the aisles. It doesn't bode well, but yeah, I mean, anything you can do to keep the crowd comfortable is a good thing. So
And at that
that's
point, nobody's even in their seats. It's just 50,000 people crammed in the tunnels there,
right,
trying to still watch the game from the
right.
staircase, but stay under the
Yeah,
protection.
trying not to drown. Yeah. Jeez. Anyway, yeah, it's gonna be fun, and you know, uh, as much as we have had conversations about this tournament, of the two leagues, um, it has the potential of being something fun.
Yeah, definitely fun. Like I said, I'm super excited for it.
Mhm.
Obviously new tournament. It's always fun. The tournament style it really engages the crowd. Obviously, when you have that kind of like
Mhm.
World Cup style thing. Obviously, they're doing it a little differently than
Mhm.
the bigger leagues in the world that just kind of season the matches in there in the
Right.
midweek and like really put stress on your team rotation. But yeah, this will definitely be good the way they're doing it and definitely exciting. Like I said, I think the motivation is going to be there for the Mexican clubs for sure because this is their chance to prove to the MLS, we may be slipping, but we're still ahead of you. And the
Right.
MLS is going to be looking to prove, the opposite. They're going to be looking
Right.
to prove, no, we are the dominant power now in North
Right.
America. It's time for you to, take a back seat.
I saw a number of press clips with Cruz Azul, playing Miami on Friday night, and the Mexican players were just like in awe of the fact they're going to be on the same field with Messi. But there was also the fact that they said, look, we want to win, and we're just happy to be playing. So there's an excitement level. There's obviously, when you're playing on the same pitch with Lionel Messi, it's going to be fun. But at the same time, I don't think they're going down there to lose.
Yeah, definitely, right? Like, obviously there's that shock and awe, as you said, because even if they play on the Mexican national team, like, you don't
Sure.
see Argentina. It's technically
Right.
it's still another continent. No matter how
Right.
close they are
Right.
geographically to you,
Sure.
it's another continent. You don't really play matches against them unless you
Right.
meet them in a large competition like
Right.
like the World Cup, because CONCACAF and CONMEBOL are two separate entities. So
Right.
again, you're not really going to play each other in. Well, I guess they'll see each other in the Copa America now, right? But
Right.
we're past that prime age for Messi.
Hmm.
Obviously, he might not even play in that next one, but yeah. So it's definitely going to be exciting for them. But as you said, they're here to win. They're definitely here to win, and just as amazing it is to them to be on the same field as Messi. Imagine how amazing they think it'll be if they beat Messi. So they're definitely going to be motivated for this match.
Yeah. Absolutely. And from the standpoint of that's the rest of the games on the weekend are also going to be good, although most of them are MLS teams playing against other MLS teams in the first round, as we go. But it's gonna move on, and everybody will get a chance to play and see how it works out. So yeah, I think it's a good it's a good new event. And by the way, they will be playing by normal, FIFA rules, so they will have extra time before they go to shootout.
Okay, that's good to know.
So there you go. All right, so lots of soccer. Everybody's getting ready and gonna have a fun time. Uh, let's downshift for a moment to baseball. Yesterday, we were joking around and saying that you know not a lot of pitching going yesterday.
Yeah.
Man, we don't always get things right, but yesterday we got everything right. I mean, there was some football scores in that game. Atlanta and Arizona. I mean, it was like, okay, nobody could get anybody out.
Yeah, it was talk about a gas can Tuesday. That's for sure.
Yeah, pitching optional. Yeah.
Somebody in my Discord had mentioned, in the insiders room, had mentioned that there was 197 runs scored last night.
Yeah, it was a
It
record.
was, yeah, it was like the most since 2010, its previous record or something like that, and
Yeah.
12 different teams scored double digits.
Yeah.
So
And in some
just
game,
a
and what
wild
was
night.
it? In 3 games, they both scored double digits.
Yeah. Is that like the 16-13 game, 11
Yeah.
10? There was some wild. We had games, I think, the Padres beat the Blue Jays 9-1, so they didn't even
Right.
qualify for the double digit. They were right there.
Right. Yeah. And it was just one of those crazy days. But we're kind of off to it already. The Guardians in the seventh inning. The Guardians are beating the Pirates 4-2. The Dodgers and the Orioles literally started. It's the first inning. It's 4-2. Orioles Dodgers 4-2 in the bottom of the first inning.
Yep, that over is gonna hit.
Yeah, yeah, real quick. Couple of things though that I found funny. We had Rye yesterday saying that Lucas Giolito was somebody that the Phillies were going to keep on their radar, and it was funny because Dan Plesac, who is one of the analysts for MLB Network, in the early part of the game said, "You know what? This could be a tryout for Lucas Giolito." And I don't think he made it out of the first inning, but he gave up like 7 runs. It was like he was throwing batting practice. Then there was the Plesac also mentioning, they were trying to figure out pitchers and where they might go. And he said, interestingly enough, that Blake Snell could be headed to Toronto.
Really?
Yeah,
If I was the Blue Jays, you
you
know,
wouldn't listen to Plesac.
I wouldn't listen to Plesac. I'm taking the guy who, pitched yesterday, another solid outing, and has pretty much been the only bright spot for this Padres team all year because
Oh yeah,
he's
Musgrove.
yeah he's
Yeah.
the one really you got to go for. He's Blake Snell. I mean, he's all right, but
Well, I don't know. The theory of the case, I think, from what Plesac was saying, was that he's a proven commodity. He'll get you where you need to go, and the other thing that helps is that he he's on a a contract which San Diego's already, San Diego would eat this year's part of it, because at the end of it, he's a free agent if you choose. It's a club option. So the club option is 1 year or 1 or 2 years at $15 million.
Battery
So
low. Please charge.
he hang on one second. There we go. He is in a situation where he might very well be tradable and then keepable if you wish to have him. So that's where they are with that. It wouldn't be a show if we didn't talk about where Otani's going today.
another trade option.
Another trade we're going to make. I found out that Otani, it's Artie Moreno has stated to anybody first of all, he says he's not going to trade him. Okay, so there we go. We get that. But there's always a but here. Anybody interested in even talking to him, forget it. He's not going to trade him to anybody on the West Coast.
Oh, wow.
So don't look for Otani to land anywhere we thought he was going to land in that regard. However, your conversation about Houston might make more sense now. If again, if they're interested in trading, it was Dan Duquette, also on MLB Network last night, who said he thought that the Padres would probably be sellers at the deadline, and that they could move Soto, they could move. They didn't say Musgrove. I'm pretty sure Musgrove might be the one guy on the team they're not going to move. But you can't move Machado. That contract is too big, and they've got a lot of guys on that team who have big contracts, and that's going to be tough to get rid of. So, that'll be interesting in that regard. But something came up yesterday that kind of piqued my interest, and that was the saying that the Mets would consider trading if they're not in the hunt, which I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. Max Scherzer has it written into his contract. He's got a no trade. He's a 10. He's one of those guys who is a 10-10 guy. So he has the right to veto any trade. He has a list of 4 teams that he would play for, be traded to, and the Dodgers are at the top of the list. So there is a possibility that the Dodgers could trade and take Max back to Los Angeles.
He was already on the Dodgers.
Yeah. He was the Mets signed him because the Dodgers didn't want to give him an extra year. Max wanted 4 years, Dodgers wanted him for 3. And
Wow.
So the reason he left, the money was pretty much the same, but he left the Dodgers because he wanted a 4-year deal and they wanted to give him 3.
Wow.
So they could be getting him back if they want to. There's a lot of pieces on that Mets team that could be good trade bait. But, does that mean that you're giving up not just, this year, but for a couple of years.
Yeah, there's some interesting scenarios there for sure. First,
Yeah.
I want to tell you why I don't like the Blake Snell trade, because
Yeah, go ahead.
right now the dominant team in your division is the Tampa Bay Rays.
Right.
And do we really want that coaching staff getting to see Snell, more often than not?
No, I don't think you want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, there's a reason they knew what they were doing there when they let him go there. The other thing I'm going to tell you why I don't like what Moreno said about Otani, because
Hmm.
I think he just shot himself in the foot, because by saying that,
Hmm.
not only have you now been like, oh, okay, well, we're going to just hold on to him, by saying I'm not trading him anywhere on the West Coast, are you not pissing Otani off because he wants to stay on the West? So if you're
Right.
Otani, you got to be thinking in your head, okay, I can just finish my contract out and go somewhere else on the
Right.
West. At the end of
I'd
the
get in
year.
my car and drive up to Dodger Stadium. Yeah.
Like, why would you even say something like that?
I don't know.
Seems like things are starting to fall apart in the Angels organization.
Right.
We're already falling apart.
And yeah, these are people that signed Albert Pujols to a long-term deal. Yeah, the interesting thing to me, and honestly, I hadn't really thought about it, but Otani's scheduled to pitch tonight, and I don't know if he's gonna, but we'll see. He's pitching on 6 days, which is what they pitch on in Japan. So the Angels have played, and I really didn't even notice, frankly. The Angels have been playing on a 6-game rotation with Otani in the rotation. They have had, one of those bullpen days where, you get an opener and, and go from there. So Otani's a 6-day pitcher. So that's, that wouldn't scare me away from trading for him, but it is just something you have to consider.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. So you need a team probably that's already got a good solid core of starters. So Texas Rangers sounds like they're great. They've been throwing around so much cash the last 2 years, and if you bring in Otani, obviously DeGrom's on the injured list, but whenever DeGrom comes back, you have him, you have Eovaldi, you have John Gray, Dane Dunning, who's turned out to be good. And then obviously you got Martin Perez there, so there's your 5.
And you got the offense that crushes.
And you're just adding, at that point, you're just adding Otani into the rotation and saying, okay, everybody gets an extra day off now.
Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting. There was some conversation that the Rays and the Orioles, and we talked about that more with the Rays, but not the Orioles, although I should have remembered this as well. Both of them have the farm systems to give away what it would take to get him without damaging the farm systems. So, just saying, there are people to trade with, and at the end of the day, I don't think they move him. I just don't.
Yeah, well, after those comments, I don't think he's.
Well, I think Artie Moreno honestly thinks he can sign him back.
We'll see.
So
we'll just have to see.
If he keeps playing like he's playing, they just may make the playoffs, which just might make that trading issue a moot point. But
like I said, the offense is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just their pitching is atrocious, though. Like that starting rotation after Otani, like Tyler Anderson's not reliable. Griffin Canning not really reliable. I think Jamie Barria has made a few starts. Like he's not reliable.
Right.
Patrick Sandoval, like these aren't like starters that I would like. Maybe it's okay. Those are like 4th or 5th rotation kind of guys.
Right.
Your whole starting rotation is made up of that.
You got a rotation of 3s and 4s.
Yeah, there's going to be some problems there, which we've seen.
The bullpen better be damn good. at
You
that.
have the one ace and then just 4, 4, 4, 4.
Foxy's got a question. He said the League Cup is shocking. Doesn't even have every best team from each country in. CONCACAF shows no signs of trying to improve the leagues outside the MLS and Mexican League.
Yeah, so hey, Foxy, good to see you. How are things going? But yeah, so we've been talking a lot about the good and how exciting the Leagues Cup is going to be for obviously, the two largest markets, Mexico, USA, even Canada. But he does make a very good point about, CONCACAF. This again, right? Hey, Copa America, take our 6 best teams. Thanks. Now we don't have to do anything. Oh, let's do this Leagues Cup. So we'll grow, MLS and Liga MX and the sport in Canada, but the smaller countries like Panama, Costa Rica, your best teams don't matter. So I definitely see his point there, but this is still the first edition, and MLS seems to be making a lot of strides lately. Obviously, they've been watching the show, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe next year in the second edition they introduce the idea of let's get the best teams or the best top 2 teams from each league, or you can even weight it in a way where you turn it into, because you said there's 47 teams, you could turn it into a 64 team style tournament.
Sure.
And you just fill in those gaps with, okay, maybe this league is Costa Rica is a little bit better than Panama, so we'll give them 3 or 4 teams versus 2 teams there, and then you fill out the bracket that way. So I would like to see that. And again, I know the MLS is watching the show now, right? So here's my idea. Next year, me, Foxy, Jim, we want to see these smaller countries teams in it, please.
Is there ever a time, do you think, that we're going to see a tournament there that would be like that would get the best teams from Argentina, Brazil, Central America, South America, and North America all together in a tournament?
Yeah, so it would definitely be interesting, right? And that's again, that's something that CONCACAF is failing to do right now, because by asking Copa America to take your 6 best countries, you're failing, as Foxy would put it, you're failing the smaller countries in there. Like I used to watch during COVID, I used to watch the Nicaraguan Premier League. So there's good players down there. And Honduras used to be a nation that made the World Cup over a decade ago. They so. These are definitely smaller countries in Central America. You'd really consider them North America because they're part of CONCACAF. But yeah, absolutely, they definitely need to be involved more. And again, the onus is on CONCACAF. We talk a lot about how CONCACAF is not a good organization for these reasons. They need to put more of an effort in to build the sport. Like, it's great what you're doing for the bigger markets, but what are you doing for the small markets? You're doing nothing for those. And really, you have to strengthen. Like, look at Europe, for example. Europe could just constantly feed, the power leagues, Germany, Spain, England, and those are, some of the best teams in the world for men's soccer. But now you're starting to see Switzerland's got a nasty team. Norway with Holland, I'm sure they'll be good. Even Sweden's got some good players now. So these are smaller European teams that are starting to grow. So CONCACAF should be looking at that and doing something similar, in my opinion, because definitely, but like I said, I would love to see Honduras in the World Cup again. I remember seeing them over a decade ago, right? But they've dropped off the face of the planet in the soccer world. So I would love to see teams like that, right? I remember, the good old days of Colombia. They haven't made a World Cup in a while now. So, definitely what you're proposing is interesting. But that would have to be a CONMEBOL CONCACAF thing that they work out. And, until CONCACAF can't even make like a Copa North America, a North American Cup. So, my faith is very little in them to go work with CONMEBOL on something that's actually going to help both instead of just pawning things off to them.
Yeah, but the money's there. I mean, that's, I think the money would be there for that kind of thing because, there's not that much. The worst case scenario, right, from a time zone standpoint, because that's how you look at something with regard to how the worth that we talked about it for television. The worst case scenario you've got is you've got a Pacific Coast and a game and an Atlantic game, so they're either 1 hour ahead of the Eastern time zone or 3 hours behind the Eastern time zone. So your times are not bad. Plus, even in your major markets, you're getting a prime time game.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and Foxy says that he thinks the Prisa from Costa Rica would have been in it for sure.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And like I said, Foxy, it's the first edition of them, so let's give them a break on this one. They're trying something new. It's a brand new competition, but you know what? Hey, the MLS is hearing some of these ideas. So if they're out there listening, we want to see a 64 style team next year and
Right.
fill the rest of the bracket with, as Foxy suggests, teams. The top three from Costa Rica, maybe two Cuban teams, whatever, right? Whatever the other CONCACAF.
Right. You get then you get North America and the Caribbean. And
Like Jamaica went to the semifinal of the World Cup. You could have their top two teams in it as well.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, it's not like these leagues are bad. It could also, frankly, we talked about this yesterday. It could benefit the players who come out of it, who could end up playing either in the MLS or maybe even, with some of the stronger teams, either in South America or or even overseas in Europe. So it wouldn't be a bad thing, and that's where I think that. And as I said, I would love to see the day when you get a true, like a Euro League championship deal where you play for the America's Cup, and the Americas being North America and South America.
Yeah, and you know what? UEFA and CONMEBOL do like a similar thing for both the men's and the women's. So again, that's something that I think is on the onus is on CONCACAF, and they're a very lazy organization already as it is. So that's where the real problem in North American soccer lies. It's with CONCACAF. They need to put more of an effort in on their part for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say let's just let them have their first year. I'm sure if it gets good ratings and the games sell well, MLS or whoever's running it at this point, CONCACAF, if you're hearing us, and it goes well this year, expand it to 64 next year, and you can fill the bracket. There's so many countries in Central America, North America, that you can fill that bracket with, even if you just took one or two from each league. You don't even need to take three. So definitely, I think Foxy raises a good point, and that's something I would like to see next year for sure.
Well, he's got the Mexican teams used to play in Copa Libertadores, and there you got it. You got it up there. Until 2016, it'd be good if it happened again. Plus MLS, but
yeah, like one giant Champions League, but for all of America instead of like Copa Libertadores and in CONCACAF Champions, we just have America, the Champions League, American Champions League, just American.
The Americas, you could do it like the Americas because it's two, one in North and South.
Yeah,
the Americas, Champions League.
The Americas
or Champions League of the Americas. That sounds like a Marvel. That sounds like a Marvel comic. But okay.
You know what? The name doesn't matter. It's just as long as it's Champions League with something Americas in there, because it's all the Americas.
But names are what we do.
That's true. I guess that is what we do.
So anyway,
we're the ideas people.
Yeah, that's right. We're the ideas people, Chuck. Okay. But yeah, I mean, that would be. I mean, I mean, think about it. You get one of the top Brazilian teams, one of the top Argentinian teams, playing against Real Salt Lake. I mean, you got to believe that the people are going to be there.
Yeah, I would love to see Flamengo smack them around a bit.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Let me run a quick scoreboard for you.
Yeah, well, before you do that, I just want to ask
go ahead.
Foxy, yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the Copa Libertadores champions now that we're in the round of 16. I like River Plate at the plus 600, where things stand right now, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, as Foxy puts that together, let me run through the scoreboard real quick. Bottom 7, Guardians 4, Pirates 3. That game's being played in Pittsburgh. Dodgers, who got out to a 2-0 start on the Orioles, gave it all back and more. The Dodgers are down 4-2 to the Orioles at Camden Yard. Top three. I'm sorry, right now. Top 3 in Arlington. It's the Rays and the Rangers. No score. Marlins are losing in the top of the second to the Cardinals. In St. Louis, that game is 4-0, and Astros Rockies get underway at 3:00. At 3:17, it's the Red Sox and the Athletics, and then 6:40, it's the Brewers and the Phillies. Padres Blue Jays tonight, and Yankees Angels 7:07 start. That's a game on MLB Network for those of you wanting to watch. Cincinnati Reds and the Giants, Mets and the White Sox, Braves and the D-backs, Twins and the Mariners, Tigers, Royals, and Nationals and Cubs. Fill out your baseball for today. But the games that are in progress right now, those are the scores we gave to you. And at 3:00, at 3:30, and 4:00, you're going to start seeing some other games at this point. But right now, that's what's going on your scoreboard. So,
yeah,
did Foxy come up with and I gave you time to write it down, buddy.
Yeah, he has not responded yet. But
he hasn't responded to it. Okay. So you were saying on your favorites. Again, I'm sorry, I was going to the scoreboard there. I missed it. What was here? By the way, the Pirates just took the lead 5-4 in the bottom of the 7th in Pittsburgh. So there you go. It's a 5-4 lead on the Guardians. If you guys are paying attention to your scorecards here. So you said that the Copa Libertadores, your favorite was ... I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
River Plate. I like River Plate at the plus 600 to win the
plus 600.
Yeah, I think there's some good value on that. The only teams really ahead of them are Flamengo and Palmeiras, and River Plate pretty much dominated the Argentina League this past season. They just they won the title last weekend after absolutely just throttling, I think it was Estudiantes, and they look very good right now. They're just absolutely rolling. Their season's over now, so they're going to have a bit of rest for this round of 16 coming up. So I think they're going to have a bit of an advantage there. And I just really like them as a team. I think we've had so many Brazilian sides dominate this competition for the last few years, but I think it's finally time that somebody other than a Brazilian side wins this one this year.
Let's that's one of the name that the team name is really cool for that team. It's one of those things where you look at a team name and you just like it from the get-go. It's like, this is cool.
And they by far have the best stadium in Argentina too, so they have a very strong home advantage. It's an intimidating place to go into. It holds 80,000 plus, so it's definitely it's big boy stadium for sure.
Yeah, so there you go. That's fun. There's Foxy Foxy's got his stuff here now.
I remember he talked about Fluminense earlier in these. You still like Independiente?
2000?
Oh, fine. Yeah, Fluminense, because they weren't expected. They're not like a top team.
You think?
And they're still good. They're still like a top 4 team, but they're not Palmeiras or Flamengo. So, and especially coming into the season, nobody thought they were going to be as good as they were. And then they ended up opening the season coming out of the Carioca. They were winning like every single game, every game in the Copa Libertadores. But lately, lately they haven't looked great. And Foxy, what do you think of Botafogo? What's with the year they're having? They're like, what is it, 10, 13 points now in first place. And you got obviously Gremio with Luis Suarez making waves in the Brazilian league. So it's definitely a wild year.
Well, yeah, he's got the Independiente at 5,000.
Yeah, I know, because he was all over Independiente del Valle last year to win the Copa Sudamericana, which they went on to win. So he nailed that, and I'm surprised he still likes them to win the Copa Libertadores, because that's how they got the bid. They won Sudamericana, so
Right.
they automatic bid to Libertadores this year. But yeah, they made it through they made it to the group stage.
That's a lot of juice on your team there, Foxy. Plus 5,000. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if it cashes, he's
Yeah. I
laughing,
mean, if
but,
it cashes, he can buy that sailboat he wants.
But yeah, as he says there, Demoshels has River Plate playing amazing, and really, they weren't supposed to be this good because obviously they brought some guys back, Beltran, a few other players, and Beltran was not in good form when he comes back, and all of a sudden he's like top goal scorer in Argentina, so or one of them at least. So definitely, this River Plate team is just rolling right now. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them make a deep run, especially when Palmeiras. They haven't been great, especially away from home this year. And Flamengo is actually starting to roll, but their defense has been sloppy, especially in away matches. They've been giving up a lot of goals. So I think River Plate's a sturdy team on both sides of the ball.
Back in the day, and I'm talking 5-10 years ago, you didn't see any Brazilian or Argentinian teams play defense. It was everybody was just, it's like, everybody's rushing the goal. But there's been a lot more balance to these sides. Do you think that's just something that's come with international play, or is it something that the coaching has changed, the thoughts have changed? Because they're playing a lot less aggressive, but more balanced than they have been in years.
Yeah, honestly, from watching a lot of these games, like a lot of cards get handed out, but I actually don't think that the players are aggressive as it seems to be. The refs are actually just very strict and by the book. Like there's literally no room for interpretation with them. So you get a lot of like ticky tacky stuff, which isn't great. But yeah, definitely, the defense is definitely improved as for some of these teams. I know Corinthians is one that has a great team. That boils down to goalkeeping. I think a lot of it boils down to goalkeeping. There's a lot of good goalkeeping in Brazil right now. Corinthians has obviously very good goalie with Castillo. Flamengo's goalie, I was watching him in their last match, Mateus Cunha. He was playing on his head. So I think there's just a lot of good goalkeeping in Brazil right now.
Well, there's a lot of those guys are heading to Europe.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? Like a lot of these young players, like I've already mentioned, Endrick, he's actually 16 on Palmeiras.
16.
So, yeah, not 18, 16. So he'll be 18 when he officially signs with Real Madrid.
Can he even drive to the stadium?
But yeah, see, that's the thing, right? But yeah, Endrick, this is what I mean. There's another one right now, Vitor Roque on Atletico PR. He's just absolutely unbelievable. Another 18-year-old, right? He's one of the top goal scorers in Brazil, I believe, right now. So definitely be on the lookout for Roque. He's something else. You'll see Endrick, like I said, on Real Madrid come next year. He's already signed a pre-contract there. So yeah, another thing with these South American teams, right, is they throw the kids out at a young age because they know they're going to get sold to Europe by the time they're 22.
Yeah, or sooner. The Brazilian league changed everything by importing European managers, mostly Portuguese, who have had success. And so there goes the theory of the case as to why.
Yeah. And see, he
they
brought him
decided
up,
to-
Vitor Roque,
Yeah, he
superstar
did.
Vitor Roque. He's just all over Brazil right now. 18 years old. He's probably better than Endrick, honestly. But yeah, he's definitely getting sold to Europe in a few years, give or take.
Now, how does how's it work with the Argentine leagues and the Brazilian leagues? Are they part of the transfer deal, or is that not how it works?
What do you mean for?
Well, in other words, if you got a superstar on a Brazilian first division team or whatever, right? And you're talking about him, he's 16 years old, he's now 19 years old, and Manchester United wants to sign him. What's the process?
Usually these teams they tend to sell the players before
Okay.
because they know they can make the money off of them. Definitely you're not gonna let them. You're not gonna let them just go, right?
No,
So
no, I know that. I was just wondering, you know, if they do a transfer fee or if they sell them straight out, or how does it work? In other words,
yeah,
if I sell a guy to, if back in it's the way it works now, we all know I can get that guy back, right? But it doesn't necessarily work that way, is what you're telling me with the way that South American teams do. They sell their player, which is not a bad idea because then you can invest that money into your team anyway.
yeah, and the thing is, a lot of these younger players come from the academy, right? So it's not
Okay.
even like they're literally they're not even buying them for anything. These are kids that they've
Right.
trained, they've scouted, they've trained, they've brought them up through the academy.
Mhm.
They finally call them up, they get their chance, they turn out to be stars, and then the teams recognize they're going to be stars and say, okay, we got to sell him before his contract expires
Mhm.
because we could make 100 mil off this guy by selling him to a big European team.
Mhm. So, okay, so all right, so the academy starts with the teams in South America. They find somebody, they groom them, they get them ready to play. They play in their league. Everybody on the planet gets to see how good they are, and then boom, they sell them to Europe.
Yeah, here you go. Foxy's got some good insight too. European teams have to wait till they're 18 to
Right,
officially
I know that much.
sign players. So that's why you see guys like Endrick at 16 years old because Palmeiras is trying to get what they can out of him now before he knows he's going to Europe at 18 years old.
Well, I remember when Freddie Adu, that was the big thing back when. Freddie Adu went and played his first game for DC United at the age of 14. And I remember the big deal was he was coming from school. His mom was picking him up after school and driving him to the stadium for the game.
Straight to the stadium.
Right. It's like, that's your extracurricular activity today. You're going to be playing for DC United.
Shows up still in the school clothes.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there aren't. We talked about it being in baseball that we know that we see, the Dominican and Puerto Rico and a number of other Caribbean countries that have these kids that they put together, in an academy at 14, 15, 16, and you can sign them at that age. Um, and by the time they get to 19, they're in some cases up with a major league club. So it happens there, and clearly that's what happens. It's probably the lifeblood of South American soccer would be the selling of the players because of the money that you receive on the way back.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big business. You can make money just literally finding young players in the academies and selling them.
And
Monaco does it all the time in Europe. So
yeah, getting them going and moving. It's funny that Monaco would do it because they've got all the money. You would think they got the cash that they don't have to worry about, but I
yeah,
guess they don't.
they're just a team that seems to not care about winning. They just care about making money off the players.
So yeah, Endrick has joined Real Madrid for 37 million euros, but he has to wait until the summer 24 to officially be able to play for them. He'll stay until then. Okay. So so there you go. 37 million euro, not a bad deal.
Yeah.
So there's that. The fascinating. Well, we need to let you get going here so you can get your stuff done for tonight. Let's talk about where to
Gotta
find
take
what you're
my
doing.
nap. Gotta
Gotta
take my
take your
nap
nap
for
for the
those
World Cup.
3
Well,
a.m.
don't
games.
sleep through the All-Star game. So take your nap for the All-Star game. Then after the All-Star game, take your nap, and you're still gonna have time to because that I don't think the kickoff is till 3 a.m. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so you could actually watch the MLS All-Star game, and I know how much you love All-Star games. You can watch
Yes,
the
I
MLS.
definitely have that circled on the calendar tonight.
Right. Okay. Watch it. And then take a nap and get up 3:30 or 3 o'clock and watch. Watch the opener from the stadium there. No, it's gonna be cool. So let's talk about what you got planned for the folks who drop by the site tonight.
Yeah, you can get my plays at bigowl.com and pickadvisor.com. Right now, I have 2 plays up for the Copa Sudamericana qualifiers that are later tonight. And I got a play on each of the overnight Women's World Cup games, 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. So, go check those out. You can wake up with some money in the bank already.
Yeah, there you go. And I assume that Rye is negotiating a deal for Lucas Giolito after Lucas's pitching yesterday for the Mets. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's why he didn't drop by today. What's that?
He's running to go sign Giolito for sure.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't have to run too far. That would be a seemingly pretty decent deal. So anyway, all right. Look, it's been fun. Tomorrow's Thursday, and we'll actually have some. By the time we hit the air tomorrow, we're going to have some fun with actually having some scores from the first 2 matches. We'll be able to chat a little bit about what happened in the first 2 games of the Women's World Cup. So that'll be cool. Also, because we are golf fanatics, we'll weigh in on what's going on with the Open Championship. So there's that. I think this is the year that Rory gets his title.
Yeah, everybody's all over Rory. He won it last week, right? So I guess.
Well, he won the Scotland. Yeah, that was and he played well. But yeah, we'll see how this one works out, and we'll see. Maybe this is his year. We'll see. But anyway, we'll have plenty of that to talk about tomorrow. So until then, guys, for Amadeus, I'm Jim. Foxy was in the house. Some other folks dropped by. Appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow. So until then, folks, be safe and enjoy the games.